1985, I run away from home in Chicago, back to my grandparents' places in Ohio. I don't know what I was thinking, but my mind was telling me to leave. I gave no warning to my parents. I packed up what I could carry, called a cab, reset the home alarm, and left to catch a Greyhound. Once I arrived at my grandparents and got settled in, I went to a vocational school and signed up for office employment courses for adults. I had to get more skills to make myself more employable. This was around, I'd say, 1986. Mid-80s, when schools were still teaching shorthand, 10-key adding machine, and banking teller skills. I gravitated towards the machine learning. I knew I would always be employable if I knew how to run some type of computer. I even learned how to type on an electric typewriter, which was much faster, of course, than the manual typewriters and the word processors. I think I had gotten my speed up to, I think it was like 80 something, almost 90 words per minute. So I was doing pretty good. That helped a lot by the time I got hired at Kmart. I always remember Kmart. Cashiering. UPC codes had been put into use, and I was working at the toy department, and it was around Christmas time. The computers had went down, and that's where my 10-key training kicked in. I had learned how to do it so fast that everybody was coming to my line. I was working in the toy department. It was during Christmas time. Computers went down, and the UPC codes are 10 digits. I was the fastest. I had to put the 10 digits for each product. So it was very challenging, and I just took like a fish to water. I just did it. So I was very grateful for that kind of training. I haven't used one of those in, wow, many years. Many years. Of course, now we all have, calculators on our phones and stuff like that. But anyway, that was quite a challenge. That was quite a challenge. But that was my, I guess that was my first really in-depth career with the world of retail. So it was quite an experience. Never forget that. It was actually also around the same time that my grandpa had passed. So not only was I dealing with new things, new job, new surroundings, that kind of thing, I had to deal with a different kind of grief because, it's different when we were close enough to where it really affected me. That's what I'm trying to say. So I had to deal with that, learned how to deal with that, moved on. Now by 89, of course, the 80s were almost gone. I closed out the decade with a new job at Burger King. A new type of retail. Food. It was interesting. But I made the best of it. It wasn't that bad. I had even worked with a couple people that I went to high school with. But yeah, it was a different kind of experience. By 91, I had met my first husband. We knew each other in passing. He had always wanted to at least date me, is what he said. We knew each other in passing from actually church. Of course, small town. Everybody knows everybody. So, of course, that was a challenge, but we didn't care what people thought. Long story short, it lasted about 4 years. It ran its course. We moved on. He did teach me that I would never be happy until I was being myself. And that was true. That was really true. And he said I'd never do anything with my career, because at the time I was, still studying music and stuff, and wanted a singing career. And he said, well, you'll never do anything if you wait for everything to be perfect. And he was right in that case too. So, of course, the town was shocked. We didn't care. He had 3 kids from a previous marriage that were coming into their teenage years. So we had a talk, and that's when I pretty much decided that, okay, now's the time to transition, to make more efforts to transition, because I didn't want it to be confusing to the kids. So that's when I started. This was what, 93, I guess? 93? We moved around 3 or 4 different houses. And let's see, by the end of 93, almost the end of 93 is when I started recording school. That's when I went to recording school to study audio recording engineering. And we split not too long after that, after I graduated and received my certificate. So by 94, I had moved in with one of my best friends for a while. He actually came to the small town that me and my ex were living in. He came to save me. He said, I'm saving you from this small town. You got to get out of here. Got to get out of here. So he came and rescued me. And I moved in with him. And back to my old faithful, I signed up with a couple of temp agencies. I did mostly data entry positions. Something safe, something I knew I could do and wouldn't have to, for lack of better words, I wouldn't have to try too hard, but it was something I already knew, data entry. Great, it fit. And then after that, I ended up getting a job at a convenience store, and here I go back to retail. It was different because this store, it was a little convenience store, and they also had gas pumps. So I had never had to deal with gas pumps, and I was like, okay, this is cool. So it was different. I like that job. Met a lot of different types of people. Bad thing about it though was the cold winters. Oh my gosh. It was like it was like the road that I had to walk down. They would plow the street, but of course, back in Ohio, the snow was so high that I'd have to walk down the street and not on the sidewalk to even get back and forth to work. So that kind of stands out in my mind. And this is also where I met my second husband. And I'll never forget, I had a line of people. There was about 5, 6 people in line. He comes in, and this is his line. He was like, I am madly in lust with you. Will you marry me? And I remember saying, hang on, I can't talk about that right now. I got to wait on these people. And so after I got the line down, and I waited on the last person, when they left, I was like, okay, what were you saying? He said, I'm madly in lust with you. Will you marry me? It can't be love because I don't know you yet. I was speechless. But we did end up getting married.